Hello, hi, and welcome to the first episode of the Emma Gunn Show of 2025 and an instalment of Bullet Points, which, yes, I grant you, is a day late. I apologise about that. I have a good reason though, and it's the first thing I want to talk to you about in this episode, and it's the fact that I, much like a lot of people from the response that I had when I posted about this on my Instagram, I got to the 28th of December 29th, and I was over it. I was so ready to get back to normal, to get back to a routine. But as I have explained previously in the more recent episodes of the podcast, there hadn't really been a routine in my 2024 because there had been a lot of variables, there had been a lot of things come up. And so I'd never really been able to pull back to, this is what I do if I can have a normal week. And so this pull towards the end of December to get organised, to tidy up, to do this, to do that, was the strongest I think I have ever felt. And so yesterday, when I should have been recording this episode of the podcast, I actually decided to sit down and try and get my head around the app Notion. Now, it's an app, but it's also on a desktop. And I have to be completely honest with you, I'd been sort of tinkering with it as and when I'd had time over the festive period. When did I download it? I think I might have downloaded it just before Christmas, but I couldn't make head or tail of it. And what I also understood is that prior to this, I had actually downloaded it before, I think about 3 years ago, and again, hadn't been able to get my head around it. And so I had abandoned it. I had given up on it. It's probably a better way of describing it. But Notion, for want of a crude description based on someone who might still be struggling mightily with it, is an app where you get to, in lots of different places, you have a dashboard, but you can create a page that you can access via your desktop or on your phone on an app, where you can put, right, this is my to-do list, these are the daily habits I want to complete, this is my rolling list of things that I've got to do around the house, this is the timeline for this project, and you can do it with pictures, with graphs, with tables, with lists, with however you would like to do it. Now, it's very tempting when you start something like Notion to go sexy, to be like, oh, how can I make this look really good? And yesterday when I was sitting trying to get my head around it, and I followed lots of tutorials, and it was like, Notion's really easy. You just put a block within a block, and then in that block you put the things you need. Well, it's not that easy. It really isn't. It really actually bummed me out because I'd create a page, it wouldn't look the way that I wanted to. And then I felt like I was creating loads of pages and didn't have a dashboard that I could just look at, which would be quite helpful. And I had previously, and the whole reason that Notion even came into my head again is because my friend Anna Newton had written about it on her Substack. And then I've subsequently talked about it on my Substack, and people have been like, oh, do a tutorial. You can't do a tutorial, I don't think, or I can't, unless no one is going to be able to create the exact Notion interface that I think you would like. So all you can do is watch dozens of tutorials. So after about 3 hours yesterday morning of building pages, hating them, deleting them, and also there's this thing, and it's more than likely because I have done something wrong. When you go into it, it's kind of already got a lot of inputted data within it so that you're not just creating something blank. So you'll go in and you'll say, whose task is this for? And it'll have all these random names just because it's wanting to populate it. But I'm like, how do I get rid of all those people? Because they don't exist. They are figments of Notion's imagination. And I just kind of wanted to be clean. Anywho, in the end, I went for a coffee. I've just been for one this morning. It's in my Yeti cup. If you're watching on YouTube, this is my Yeti cup. I adore it. It's my favourite thing. It keeps my coffee hot for hours, which keeps me evil. And so I ended up going out, getting a coffee, shaking it off, because I was very frustrated that I just thought, this is basically like an online diary, an online planner. And I don't want to I have a planner right next to me. I have like a daily planner. Don't forget to do this, to do that. Like I have all of that kind of stuff. But I wanted something that I could have a visual tracking record of things. And also I want to get really organised. I want to set myself goals. So I think I said to you in the last episode, I've not been very good at staying in touch. I've not been very good, not just professionally, but also personally. And so I want to just be able to say, right, okay, what if I send this number of emails every week? And if I can just put that in Notion and tick it off, and then I can kind of track the progress of those emails, that would be really good. I remember James Altucher, brilliant podcaster. He's had some of my favourite podcasts that I've ever listened to, actually, saying that he would send 100 emails to get a 10% response for people to appear on his show. And he's got a big show, and he's a big guy, like he's a big name. So I remember thinking, right, volume in terms of send out. But I have really fallen off that. So I want to have a place where I can track all of those things, whether it's I want to aim to do 3 to 5 workouts this week. At the moment, I'm trying to work out every day. But like realistically, when I level off, and I did that through December, I talked about that on my Substack, kind of everything goes, blah, everything turns to blancmange. There's no schedule. You don't remember what day of the week it is. You get up and before you know it, it's 7 p.m. And so I thought the only thing that I can actually kind of keep structured through all of this, because I was in lots of different places over the festive season, was if I just work out every day. If I can just keep that going, then that's one thing that I haven't let go of over Christmas. And when January comes around, I can actually loosen my grip on that a bit rather than tighten up, which is the normal thing to do with something like exercise. So that's what I did. So I wanted to put all of those things in place. So and what I ended up doing, which was the most helpful, was going into YouTube. I found Notion's tutorials somewhat helpful, but not amazingly helpful. And so I went into YouTube, how to create a Notion, and there were a few videos. No one video, as I've already said, is going to give you the key to what you need exactly, but I watched enough to think, okay, well, I've got a sense of that, and I also watched enough to realize this is the iteration as I start, and as it develops, and as I learn my way around the app, I am going to tinker, change. Perhaps even one day I'll put that to one side and I'll do a Notion 2.0 for me, which is a little bit more refined, more streamlined, and more efficient and more effective. But the thing I really want to do is just to get started. But equally, it's not the kind of app that you can turn on and just start. It's not like getting an iPhone out of a box and turning it on and already, you can call your best friend and you can open your Instagram. It isn't like that. It is very much quite a steep learning curve. So I've watched tons and tons of YouTube tutorials, and I'm actually going to watch another few today, just because I like it, but I think it could be better. And I also think that now that I've made a much clearer idea in my head of my goals and what I want to achieve, I think it will be easier to perhaps refine some of those things. But for everybody who said when I did my Substack, oh, I'd love a tutorial, show me what you did, absolutely can't, because you would have seen tears and feet stomping and frustration and panic eating. I housed a protein bar because I was really stressed about the whole situation. So I would encourage you to just go to YouTube and type in Notion, because that is 100% going to be the way for you to find your way around it. So that's Notion, and if I have any other wonderful updates to share with you, I absolutely will. The other thing is that we have seen the return this week of Meghan Markle. And I wanted to talk about it because I feel, everyone talks about it, which is sort of a shame in a way. But Meghan Markle has come back with a Netflix show where she's come back with an Instagram, which I think is just, in fact, whilst I'm here, let me just double check. I think it is @Meghan. And if you remember from the early days of when she was an actress before she got together with her now husband, Meghan, she's got 1.1 million followers. I think she opened the account yesterday. It's @Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and she has a television show coming out with Netflix very soon. And there's a brilliant creator on Instagram I think she's called Phoebe Parks, and she talks about how to be successful on Instagram. And I've put my phone down. Why don't I just pick it up and search for her? Because she has a really brilliant account, actually. And she's, Phoebe Parks, sorry. She's a social media expert. And she did this breakdown of why Meghan's return was so brilliant. But I just thought, oh gosh, I know what's going to happen over the next week or so. I think the show actually doesn't air on Netflix for another couple of weeks. So they brilliantly sort of teased it and whatever. And regardless of what you think about Meghan Markle and the royal family and all of those things, I think you have to sort of say that she's very much stayed on brand. She had a lifestyle blog before where she talked about food and wine and lifestyle and fashion and beauty. And she's come back into that sort of hosting space. And from what I've seen from the trailer of the show, she's speaking to people like Mindy Kaling. She's speaking to the lovely Vicky Tsai, who's been on this podcast, who is a really good friend of hers. And it's just very much those kitchen chats. A little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't in a similar sort of vein to the brilliant series Foggy Mornings that Lily Pebbles has started on her Instagram. That kind of really relaxed, very informal, woman-to-woman chat. I mean, I'm sure there are men on the show anyway, but you know what I mean. But I was thinking about how obviously making this comeback into a social media space as a sort of, not a non-royal, because obviously her account says Duchess of Sussex, but coming back as sort of her who she was before must have been a really huge thing. But it's the thing that is going to be met with a huge amount of criticism. People are going to be pulling it apart, and people who've decided that they don't like Meghan Markle are going to have a field day pointing out all of the things that they don't like, all of the trolling, all of the whatever. And again, regardless of what you think about Meghan and what happened with the royal family, I think that it's important in moments like this, and actually my brother and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, about how important it is to be able to find something nice to say about somebody. So we were talking, this, when I say a few weeks ago, it was around the beginning of November, because we were talking about Trump and the election, and just sort of, it's so easy to look at all of the things and have nothing but negative things to say. I'm so sorry, there's some roadworks outside. God knows what's happening, but let's just carry on. But there might be good things. There are good things within all of that. There might have been a good gesture, or there should always be something good that you can find to say about somebody. And so the fact that I think that we're just going to see an absolute onslaught of it's the pantomime of the celebrity world, isn't it? That Meghan is either a villain or a hero, and the royal family are either villains or heroes, and there is no grey space in between. And I was just thinking about it last night when I saw the trailer for the show, because I thought, oh God, it's the kind of thing I'd flipping love. I would absolutely love that, because I love cooking, I love hosting, I love those kind of informal one-to-one chats. Like this is right up my street. I kind of can't wait for it. But I know that it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And I just sort of was thinking about, obviously the pantomime of celebrity, you've got the royal family, you've got a famous American actress, but you just think, I think we can all think of companies that we've worked for, or teams that we worked in, or whatever it might be, where somebody has joined the team and it hasn't been the right fit. And I can definitely think of people, they're not bad people, they're not wrong people, but they just didn't fit within the team dynamic. And it doesn't make that existing team wrong, and it doesn't make that individual wrong. But eventually, you part company, and everyone goes on and does their own thing and is very, very happy. And it's just, that's not allowed to happen in the world of celebrity and what have you. And that just feels a little bit sad. And so in this instance, I want to think, right, I think Meghan Markle's probably a really excellent hostess. I think she probably could teach me a thing or two about putting together a nice picnic or whatever it might be. I'm going to go in and enjoy this content, and I'm going to close my mind off to the fact that I know that there are going to be people who right now will be salivating at the idea that they can pick apart what she's showing people, because she is now being far more open than she has before. I wonder if it was a strategy of, you know what, we're going to be quiet for a couple of years, and in 2025 I'm going to come back and I'm going to be, and look at it from her perspective. Whatever you might think she may have gained through marriage and all of those sorts of things and having a massive profile, there will have been elements of herself that she had to stop. We know this, that might have felt very frustrating. And so again, on a very human level, let's just let that person be that person. And I genuinely can't wait for that show. I suspect it will make me go to HomeSense and make some terribly impulsive purchases. Speaking of homeware, I have to mention this. I wasn't going to, just because I can't really show it to you in this episode, but I got a DM over the Christmas period from a brand called Ultenic, Ultenic. I'll put their link in the show notes and in the caption underneath this video. And they said, we really like your account. We'd like to send you one of our devices. And that device, my friends, was a robot vacuum. Now, long-time listeners will know I am fastidious about my carpets. In fact, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm just going to point. That's where it did a little swivel last night and then left the room. So you can see you don't get carpet stripes with the robot hoovers. You get sort of columns, as it were, because you see the turning marks. But I have walked over that, so it's not 100% as I would like it. Anyway, I thought, oh God, things are looking up. It's been a tough year, but things are looking up. And I said yes immediately. Yes, I would love to receive it. And yes, I would love to trial it and give it a fair review. Please do send away. It arrived yesterday, slightly frustratingly. It arrived via DPD. I waited in, and then I heard the truck outside and I rubbed my hands together with glee. And then I saw it go off and I thought, that's strange. And then I got a, sorry we missed you. So I had to walk. I needed to walk outside anyway, so I shan't be too cross about that. So I walked to go and pick it up, and I immediately charged it, which took a few hours. And then last night I went to bed far later than I had planned because I spent 45 minutes watching it map my flat, hoover up some rooms, and today it is charging and I'm going to experiment with the mop function. And the reason I'm mentioning it to you is because I have never had so many messages, because I posted on stories, this is who I am now. I'm now a woman who sits in her pajamas watching a robot hoover do her vacuuming for her, because it just felt slightly bizarre and weird. And I had hundreds of DMs, and also my friends started WhatsApping me and texting me saying, oh my God, is it any good? Send me the link. I really want one. Tell me, give it a mark out of 10. Let me know tomorrow morning what you think. And I very sort of, last night I thought, it's all right, but it's kind of like if you were going to compare it to, say, a cleanser. It is not a full cleanse with a cream or a gel cleanser and a microfiber cloth or a flannel. It is more of a good face wipe situation. And that's what I said to my friend Kelly over text message. I was like, actually, I think she works in beauty as well, so it's the perfect analogy. I was like, I think it's like, it's to vacuuming what face wipes are to cleansing. She was like, excellent analogy. I want your further thoughts once you've done the mopping. On reflection, that was too harsh. I actually got up this morning, did my workout, and one of the things, I have hardwood floors, and I put a yoga mat down. And one of the things that I notice every time I'm like doing the stretch afterwards is I'll be stretching and I'll be lying on the mat and I'll look over and I'll see like a film of dust, even though I might have hoovered the night before. And it always really bugs me. I'm like, I just can't get the... And that was definitely reduced. So actually, I think that it's way more powerful than I thought. But again, I've only just used it on first use, and it's going to do the mopping. So excited about the mopping. I'm going to use it to do the mopping later on today, which I'm genuinely very excited about. But at the moment, I'm sometimes hoovering twice a day, because if I'm pottering around, especially in the office, and I muck up the carpets, I like to hoover them before I finish for the day. So anyway, that's my little addendum to Meghan Markle, which is that I think a robot vacuum might be changing my life, and also that I'm no doubt going to end up in HomeSense buying lots of like beautiful bowls to present whatever salad it is that I see Meghan Markle creating on her Netflix show, which it's just inevitable, unfortunately. Okay, and to round off this episode of Bullet Points, I just wanted to take a short moment to talk about Gavin and Stacey. Now, if you are not based in the UK, this might not have reached you, this sort of cultural phenomenon of the Gavin and Stacey TV show over here in the UK. It has been going for 17 years, and it concluded, there was a full stop placed on the lives of these people that we have enjoyed for 17 years in a Christmas episode. It was a 90-minute finale. The programme is written by James Corden and Ruth Jones, and it started 17 years ago with Gavin, who worked in an Essex office, developing a lovely relationship over the phone with a colleague, Stacey, who worked in a Welsh office, and they met on a weekend, they fell in love, etc., etc. And then all of the lovely characters like Smithy and Nessa, Gavin's parents, Mick and Pam, Stacey's mum Gwen and her brother Jason and her uncle Bryn. It's just been the most wonderful journey to go on. And the finale was fantastic. I won't spoil it, because in case you've never seen it and you think, oh, I might give that a go. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's been something that I don't think we've enjoyed much in culturally for a while, which is a lot of people getting excited about the same thing. And it really did get a lot of people excited. I think it had the biggest viewing figures of anything in a long while. I think it was like 12.5 million, which in this day and age is huge. It's not like the old days where episodes of soap operas used to get 40 million or something. But it's the fact that for a really short period there was sort of this collective conversation about Gavin and Stacey, and it's something that I feel has been sorely missing, this sense of community in the world, in the sense that if I've got 5 minutes to kill, or I'm going to get on the train and I look at my phone, I'm not going to see what other people see. It's very personalised. And whilst that's lovely for me and my experience, it does mean that we're somewhat cut off from other people. And I'm thinking about music. I'm thinking about the fact that for years I used to watch things like Top of the Pops. My friends and I, when we were at school, we'd listen to the Top 40 on a Sunday night when the new chart positions would come out, and we would try and hold and record the song so that we didn't get the DJ talking over them, because we wanted to have the song without buying it. We wanted to record it off the radio. So it was this lovely sort of community thing. And then on Monday you go in and you talk about the charts, or you talk about what had happened in soap operas. And I just don't think that's happened anymore. People watch The West Wing, yes, but everybody watches it in their own time. Or people watch NCIS. Is that right? I don't, obviously, but everyone watches it at a different time, at a different pace. People watch Breaking Bad, but again, there's no synchronicity between people's experience. And I really noticed this a couple of years ago when I decided to sit and watch the opening night of Celebrity Big Brother here in the UK. Now, for a really long time, I used to cover Big Brother and Celebrity Big Brother when I worked on OK Magazine. So I would watch it intently. And before I worked on OK Magazine, I would watch it as a punter, if you like. I would watch it very much as an engaged viewer. And I knew every single person who would walk into that house if it was a celebrity version. You knew who they were, you had context, all of these things. And when I left OK Magazine, I actually really unplugged from a lot of the stuff that I had done on OK. Like, I stopped watching certain TV shows. I stopped reading all magazines pretty much. I really took a step back. And so when I then dipped my toe back into it, I think my friend Terry was like, "Are you going to do Celebrity Big Brother tonight?" And I thought, I know how to do that. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. And I started watching it, and I think we were 5 people in, and I thought, I no idea who any of these people are. Quite literally no. And then Louis Walsh went in, and then Sharon Osbourne went in. I think, okay, I know where I am now, but aren't they only in for a few days, and aren't they in a separate house? So obviously the last one that I did watch was David's Dead. I mean, which is one of the episode that had, not the episode, the series that had, was it Darren Day? I did At Home with Darren Day years ago. Daniela Westbrook, Angie Bowie. I don't think she's called Angie Bowie anymore. Tiffany Pollard, David Guest. And that was there's just a particular moment in that it's just so, it's like poetry. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, go and YouTube it. David's Dead is amazing. But this new thing where I was watching and I realised I didn't know anyone, was because I'm not watching what most people are watching. I very rarely watch scheduled TV. I will watch GMB in the morning here in the UK. But everything else I stream, and it's usually Bravo. And so there's this whole feeling of being a bit disjointed. And now, even though you find the people who love Bravo and you talk to them and what have you, we're missing, I think, this sort of collective, what's going to happen in the Christmas Day episode of EastEnders, or what's going to happen in this? And I remember, like in Coronation Street, was it Richard Hillman, who was the street serial killer? And is he going to be found out? And I think shows have tried to do it since, but everyone is so sort of separated that it just doesn't build the same excitement. Anyway, I felt for a moment that in addition to all the other wonderful things that Gavin and Stacey has given us, like brilliant writing, brilliant characters, whole new vocabulary, that, like, my brother's name is Gavin and he cannot go anywhere without people calling him Gavlar. And that is just something that he's had to accept. And that is all because of Gavin and Stacey, because Smithy calls Gavin Gavlar in every single episode. So I think I'm sure it's not just exclusive to my brother. I'm sure if you are called Gavin, you are pretty used to being called Gavlar at some point. But I just think what it gave us for a really short spell was this sort of collective excitement of, how are they going to finish it? What are they going to do? And I think that is something really special and really lovely. And I just sort of took note of it and thought, I'd really like more of that. And I was in the coffee shop a couple of days after Christmas, my beloved coffee shop, and there were two girls ahead of me in the queue, and they were waiting for their drinks to be made. And one of them said, "Oh, by the way, did you've watched the Gavin and Stacey finale, right?" She said, "No, I haven't watched it yet. I've saved it. I'm going to watch it, but no spoilers." And this girl just turned to her and said, "Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I wish I could watch it all over again, not knowing what happened." And I just thought that was really lovely. And then again, in a shop, I heard a couple of other people talking about it. And then I was out at New Year and people were talking about it. It's just so nice. I just think that was something really special. And it's a little bit like the investment of 17 years, the 17 years it took to tell that story. It's a little bit like why some people don't understand, if you like Marvel films, how vital it was to go and see Endgame when it came out in the cinema, because you'd invested so much time in Captain America, the first Avenger, Captain Marvel, who else? Like Iron Man, Winter Soldier, Thor, all the Thor movies. Like, you'd put so much time and effort into knowing this universe that Endgame, you weren't going to let anybody ruin it for you. And so, me being a nerd, and I know lots of people who loved Marvel as well, went on the day that it came out because it was just non-negotiable. But again, quite an isolated niche thing. And what Gavin and Stacey did, I think, because it was on the BBC and because it did become so much a part of British culture, it just brought people together in a really nice way. And I think that is something that I would like to see more of. Maybe we'll see more of it in 2025, who knows. Anyway, if you have any questions about Notion, if you too are excited about Meghan Markle, or if you want to know any more about a robot vacuum, or you felt the same way about Gavin and Stacey, comment underneath this video if you're watching on YouTube, DM me, or email me, DM me on Instagram, or email me office@emmaguns.com if you're listening to this on the podcast or podcast feeds. I do think you can comment on Spotify, but it's not great for the podcaster because it's not always easy to see that stuff, but give it a go. But those are the ways that you can get hold of me. And all I would ask, I would be so grateful if you could follow the link wherever it is that you're tuning in and subscribe to my Substack. You can subscribe for free. My weekly column is free. I'm also starting, again, this is going into Notion, I'm starting a weekly beauty column which will focus on a couple of products which I think are really worth your attention. So that will also be free. So it's just a free, you just put your email address in, and it means that when I write it and I hit publish, it goes to your inbox, so you don't have to find it via another app, although you can read it in the Substack app. But it would be really wonderful if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my Substack, just because you can also just keep abreast of what I'm doing here as well. And it means you'll never miss out on anything. And I hope that would be an appealing enough reason for you to sign up. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. I will see you on the next one.